Welcome Amakhosi Network, welcome to the channel. Today we start talking about the striker that is linked to Kaizer Chiefs, and some even are saying that he has been to the Naturena village, which I don't know if that's true, and that is Andy Boi. He is a player from Congo and is a striker. Let's get into it, but before we get into it, please like, comment and subscribe. And I am going to give you the profile on the player and then give you my 2 cents opinion on the player. So the guy plays for Congo. He's currently playing in Zambia. I believe it's Zambia. Yes, he's currently playing in Zambia for Power Dynamos. So in me looking over at his stats and stuff like that, I wanted just to have an idea of how many goals he scored, how many games he's played. I don't have his career before Zambia. I just have his Zambia career. His Zambia career at Power Dynamos, and I believe the other team is called Chibishi. He has played 46 games and he scored 24 goals, right? Just to give you context, this guy comes from the country of Christian Saile, Congo. But he's played 46 games and he scored 24 goals. I believe in Zambia is the leading top goal scorer in the Zambian league, the first level league, not second level, because Power Dynamos is in the top league, like the DSTV Prem. And I think he's the leading goal scorer there with about 16 goals. That one you guys will have to correct me about. But yeah, so that is basically his stats so far. And Power Dynamos, I think this season ended about, I think, third on the league, somewhere there. So that is what I picked up from just the little information that I picked up on the guy. And also, I wanted just to go on YouTube and see what kind of videos about him, what he looks like when he scores goals, and is there something interesting about him. I went through that. But before I get there, I want to say the guy is still young. He just turned 23 years old. So from that standpoint, he's still young. Okay, now my assessment of him. The guy looks very strong. He looks very strong. He kind of reminds me of a Christian Saile actually, but he doesn't have Christian Saile's pace, right? He doesn't have Christian Saile's pace. And the issue with watching highlights is that you don't often get to see how the person operates when he doesn't have the ball. The thing about highlights is that we see the moment he gets the ball, or we see the moment he's in an action, etc., etc. But we don't see the moments where he's running off the ball, he's doing all these things. Because when I watched his highlights, a lot of his goals are tap-ins. And a lot of you are going to be like, he's a tap-in specialist. And I'm like, that's not a bad thing. A tap-in specialist is someone who knows how to make movements in the box, find themselves in good positions, and finish them. It means it's someone who enjoys being in and around the box, which is what this guy does. He's in and around the box. But obviously still, we have to make a very important thing and say, coaching is very important. When we say coaching is very important, we mean that, like Ranga, this guy should not drop deep and try to assist and all of those things, because this guy is slow from what I saw. He doesn't have that Christian Saile pace. He doesn't have that Dupree pace. He's almost maybe just faster than Ranga. I would say that. I think him and Ranga are actually a very similar player in how their goals are looking. From the goals that I saw, I didn't see much headering, which is one of my biggest issues, especially for a striker, a tall striker, because he's about 1.85 meters tall. But I didn't see a lot of headed goals. I saw a lot of tap-ins, but I didn't see a lot of headed goals. For me, that is a big problem, because a big striker needs to be able to use his strength and physique and finish off chances. If we're going to buy a striker who is not a well-rounded striker, meaning he can score with his feet, he can score headers and stuff like that, it makes the life of the players who are creating more difficult, because that means that you just have to keep the ball on the ground for this guy. You can't cross the ball in the air and expect that he will put it in the net. Yeah, so that's my assessment of the guy, what I saw a little about him on YouTube. And you guys, if you guys wanted to know, would I buy him? And look, I may be wrong about this, but I'm just going to use my initial assessment, which is not oftentimes the best, but I'm just going to say it like it is. I may be wrong. If Chiefs signs him and he becomes a top goal scorer, 23 goals, then I'll eat humble pie. But from my initial assessment of him, watching videos and seeing how he runs off the ball, seeing his pace, seeing his goals, etc., I would say this. I don't think he is a good enough striker for what Chiefs is trying to do. I don't think he's a good enough striker. Having watched the highlights of that one player, remember Paul Vicker, that Paul Vicker guy that you were highlighting, he showed real quality on and off the ball with his head, free kicks, his off the ball runs. He was playing as a striker. He could play as a 10 at times. He can even play as a right and left wing. I preferred to have a striker like that can give me more when he's out of position. A player that I saw now in this guy, he seems very one-dimensional. So I think if Chiefs were to sign this guy, I'm not saying he wouldn't score goals, but he's basically the same type of player as Ranga. And I don't think that's a Kaizer Chiefs player. Our players have oftentimes been quick. Our best strikers have oftentimes been quick. And they've oftentimes been strong. Like Abomsona, as small as he is, he was a strong striker, but he was quick. Mbesuma was quick. Sean Bartlett was quick, despite what you saw was quick. Kaizer Jr. actually, funny enough, was also quick. Those were like the strikers that we can think of, I think Nukovic was quicker than we thought, but the thing that Nukovic had that this guy doesn't have is that Nukovic could header the ball. This guy can't header the ball. So if I had to rate between him and Nukovic, I'd say right now, just based on what I've seen on this guy's highlights and what I know of Nukovic, I would rate Nukovic to still be a better striker than this guy. And that's why I'm saying, guys, I have a lot more information on Nukovic than I do on this guy. This guy, I've just watched a few YouTube videos and stuff like that, but I think I know enough about Nukovic to know that what kind of a striker he is if used right. So that's what I think about that. You guys let me know. Go and research him. He's Andy Boi. He plays for Power Dynamos. I am not convinced. Sometimes I wish I was wrong, yes. Yes, sometimes I wish I was wrong. But this one I'm not comfortable with. If I was the management at Kaizer Chiefs, I would not sign this guy. Me. If I was management, because I feel signing this guy, you're hoping for the best. You're wishing he becomes a good striker. You're not sure. You're wishing. And for me, that's a problem. And you guys know my biggest problem a lot of the times with players is that this guy has 16 goals this current season. He has 16 goals. 16 goals this current season. And these are just the stats that I've got. I may be wrong. He has 16 goals this current season, but for his whole career, he has 24 goals. So this is my question to you guys. What happened in the other seasons? Why was he not scoring in the other seasons? Because he only has 16 goals this season. And a lot of you are going to fight me about this because you'll say, hey, maybe he got better coaching and all of those things. I'll be like, fine. But if he's played like 5 or 6 seasons, in like his 5th or 6th season, whichever with this one is, he scored 16 goals, but in his prior games, he only has about 8 goals in the previous 5 seasons. So when you put that math together, you start asking yourself, why was he not scoring the other seasons? And why was this season better? But when you look at this season, he's scoring a lot of like tap-ins and all of those things. So it's like you have to then understand, like, is he a good player? Or is he not a good player? I made the same assessment with Gonzalez before he joined. And I think some people had an issue with how I assessed him. And I asked the same question I'm asking now with Gonzalez. And my question with Gonzalez was this. In the past season, Gonzalez scored his most goals. But before that, he had about 12 goals. But before that, there was no record of goals that Gonzalez scored. He was just non-existent. You couldn't find stats on him. So then my question with Gonzalez is, why is there no stats on him in his previous seasons? And why do we only have one good season to assess a guy. For me, that is not good enough to play for Chiefs. I can't just sign someone who's just had one good season. I need to know that he has had a number of good seasons, Or if he hasn't had a number of good seasons, let it be a player like Knowledge Muswana who came to Chiefs at like 18, 19, and he's young, so you don't expect a young player like that age to have a very good stat because he's still young. But then at least let that teenager fail than having someone who is about 23, 24 fail. Because then it's like you should have known. How can you sign this kaka that can't header the ball? That is all I'm saying. Amakhosi for life. Let me know what you think.